Hey everyone, welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today we're talking about stop trusting your mind if you want to lose weight. Your mind can be your greatest friend or your worst enemy. And more often than not, if you're trying to lose weight, it's kind of your worst enemy. And so let's talk about why you can't trust your mind, because a lot of the thoughts you come up with are bullshit. They're just wrong. And if you just believe everything your mind says to you, you're never going to change, because your mind doesn't want to change. Your mind wants to conserve as much energy as possible. It's the main organizing principle of your mind. It just wants to do the same things that you've done. It doesn't want to learn how to do new things. It doesn't want to transform into a better, happier version of yourself. It wants to keep doing what it knows because that's the easiest thing for your brain to do. And on top of that, with that being said, what you've probably done to yourself is beat yourself up, be mean to yourself, think about dieting as restriction and hard and difficult. And you're going to continue thinking that way until you start to learn something new, which your brain does not want to do. So when you want to lose weight, your brain is pretty much actively working against you a lot of the time. And the things it's going to say to you are not true. And you have to recognize this and move beyond those things. And on top of that, another way that your brain does this that you've experienced is that you could have 5 days of eating perfect. And one day you eat some cookies. And all of a sudden your brain fixates on the cookies. Okay, this is called the negativity bias. And your brain is always going to be way more aware of the negative stuff you do than the positive things. So when you have 5 great days and you eat some cookies on one day and your brain says, oh, that's it, you blew it. Now you're never going to lose the weight. You screwed up. You can't believe that. You've got to start fighting back against that because it's not true. And if you look at your weight loss history, I think you'll see this showing up over and over again, that even when you're doing good things, your brain keeps making you feel like you're not. It keeps saying mean, discouraging, unhelpful things to you. And if you believe them, you've got no chance because your brain doesn't want to change. So you've got to learn to fight back against your brain. And it starts by not believing every dumb thing it says. Your brain is not perfect. Every thought you have is not correct. And the sooner you realize this, the sooner you can start to fight back against your brain and start to develop better thoughts that bring you in the direction you want. Of course, your brain doesn't want to do this. Your brain wants to keep doing the same stuff. Yeah, but I'd be happier. Your brain don't care. It wants to just conserve energy and do what you're doing. And so you're fighting against this at all stages of the weight loss. And again, the sooner you realize this, the better off I think you'll be. And so if you want some support doing this, go get the hypnosis session I gave you. Click the link in my bio, get the free hypnosis session. It's free. And what it does is it starts to help you work with your brain, to get your brain working with you, as opposed to trying to always fight against or having your brain sabotage you and fight against you. It starts to get your brain on track. Okay, because again, your brain's not good or bad. It's been conditioned through our society to be overweight. And so we need to change that conditioning in order to have your brain pull you in the direction you want to go in. And hypnosis is one of the most effective ways to do that. So go check out that session. It's free. Watch the video I made for you. It's all going to help you out. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. And they don't even got to be questions. You could just talk about where you're at with your weight loss. You're killing it, having struggling to get started. What you doing? You know, I'm up for anything. Anything you talking weight related, I usually love it because you can never learn enough about weight loss. What's up, Vinny? How's it going? Frog in my throat. So yeah, where are we? Is it February? Good Lord. January was like the longest month and then it was over and now it's gone. And that's okay with me. But here we are, February. So I'm feeling it. I don't know. Like, it's like the sun's been out 2 days in a row here. So that's been kind of nice. And I don't know, start to feel like it's coming out. The Johnny D show. How's it going? On the treadmill watching? All right, there you go. I've seen people do that. It's a smart move. You know, people that listen to the podcast, when they start stacking, right? It's called stacking habits. You know, you listen to something good in your head and you do something in that direction as well. Eat an apple, go for a walk on the treadmill, do some jumping jacks, whatever you want to do. We start stacking the things up together. And as you start thinking right and you start acting right, it's kind of like two things going in the right direction. So I think that's a great strategy. Vinny says, you got to do it, folks. Once you get this area of life under control, it'll flow into other areas. Agreed. think, man, Vinny he's onto something. Because what I think a lot of people don't understand, and I say this a lot, I think people misunderstand it, but you're a better version of yourself at your goal weight. Now I know people say, well, I'm a good person no matter what weight I'm at. I get that. I'm not judging you based on what you look like. And again, this is a big message I'm always trying to remind you of. I'm going beyond any visual aesthetic aspects of weight and going into you as a person. How can you not be a better version of yourself when you are, now again, I say, okay, I'll lose weight in an unhealthy way. Well, even if you lose weight in an unhealthy way, you're still going to be a better version of yourself because you're going to be healthier. You're probably going to have more energy. You're going to feel better, about yourself, and just where you're at in general. So again, and that's just the shitty way to do it. So even if you starve yourself and lose weight, you're still probably going to be a little better. Now, don't starve yourself. Don't starve yourself. I don't mean that. I mean, down to your goal weight. Okay. I want to make clear. I think there's no benefits of being super underweight. There's no value there. But when you are at your goal weight, and now again, what I'm talking about here is doing it in a way that's really, truly healthy, where you're not only getting to your goal weight, but you're doing it in a way that really helps you in other areas of your life as well. So when you get your mindset right, it feels good. Then you get your lifestyle right. Now you're more energized, you're more calm, you're more focused, you're able to perform at a higher level. You're a better version of yourself. Your relationships improve. Everything improves. So again, your weight is ground central of your quality of life, in my opinion. I don't know how you could think you would have a better quality of life being 50 pounds heavier than being 50 pounds lighter. It's just an easier life. You're not shoving as much shit in your body. Your body's not as taxed. You're not carrying as much weight around. Your body's functioning better almost every situation. And that goes into other areas of your life. It's funny. I was doing a call this morning and the client was like, well, because the last 8 weeks have been kind of tense and stressful, a lot of stuff going on. And they go, oh, my eating hasn't been great. And I'm pissed at myself because I should have been eating great. And I said, why? Why should you have been eating great? We tend to think that we can just, I find this is the funniest thing to me because, and again, it extends far beyond just the weight, but even just on a weight level, people think, well, I should just be able to make the right food choices. And this really is the foundational piece of being a dieter. This idea that your willpower is this non-physical thing that you can just tap into and you're going to use it and wield it as this mighty sword against all cravings and, temptations. And that's complete and utter bullshit. I mean, all you need to do is study willpower for about 10 minutes till you start to realize that willpower functions very much like a muscle. And, if you just ran a marathon, it's like saying, well, I just ran a marathon. I should be able to run another marathon. So what? So you live in a physical reality and your willpower is a physical function. It's a prefrontal cortex process. And so it's influenced by physical factors of how much sleep you're getting, of how nourished you are, of all these 100 different things. So the dieter thinks that I'm going to start my plan on day one and just stick to it. And that doesn't work. And it's never going to work for you. What works is you start strategically developing your willpower. Again, I'm not against willpower. So you can strategically start boosting your willpower. But I think the more important piece is that you strategically set up your weight loss so that it's not reliant exclusively on willpower. I think that's the most important piece. And very few people do that. So anyways, do the sniffles. Like weekend bender. Yeah, he loves it. Okay, I'm glad. Yeah, I lost 60 pounds and my joints felt so much better. Inflammation reduced dramatically. Game changer, folks. You deserve it. Yeah, that's great, Vinny. I love hearing that. So again, 60 pounds down. I know, see, like everyone, the diet industry has conditioned you to think about weight loss as this visual aesthetic thing. That you're going to look better. I want to look better. I want to wear this clothes. I want to wear a bathing suit to the beach. It's always like almost all your motivation. If you're a typical American, almost all your weight loss motivation is revolving around what you're going to look like and how people are going to respond to that. And in the motivation world, that's called an extrinsic motivator. And it's the weakest form of motivation, which is why you're not losing weight. It's because you don't really even want to lose weight. I know you think you want, what you look like is so important to you. You believe that, but there you go. Back to what I was saying in the beginning, stop trusting your brain. Your brain thinks I want to lose weight so I can look better. Hey, guess what? The reason you haven't lost weight for 15 years is because you don't really give a shit what you look like. Wouldn't you agree? I know you care, but you don't care enough. So yeah, so we got to change our focus, because the real story going on here is literally your weight is probably the biggest factor. Your weight and what you're eating day in and day out is probably the biggest factor that's going to dictate how long you're alive for. And it's just weird. I think about this every day. That I was thinking about this a lot today, that how long you live is really not a great motivator for most people. But the second thing is that it's also, I would guess that what you're eating consistently and your weight as a result of what you're eating consistently is probably the biggest factor in your quality of life. So again, it goes back to you're a better version of yourself when you're at your goal weight, and not because of how you look, but because of how you feel, what your body's doing. It's a different body you're in. And your body, your brain's in your body. Your brain is affected by what you eat and how you live, right? So, when I say you're a better version of yourself, I mean that very literally, not just because you look different. So yeah, I like Vinny saying that. You do deserve it. Yeah, and your joints feeling better. I think people, again, what ends up happening with weight, the big challenge with weight motivation is that the weight comes on a pound at a time. So you habituate to being overweight. And so most of you don't like being overweight. It's painful, but you don't experience that pain in a strong enough way to actually get you motivated, which is another way to say you're not really motivated. You're not motivated to lose weight. That's your core challenge and issue of why you're not losing weight, because you are not really motivated. Does anyone disagree with that? Or do you think you are really motivated and you just can't lose weight? So I think you're not motivated. I think that's why most people don't lose weight, is because they're not really motivated. And they're not really motivated because they don't know how to motivate themselves. And they don't know how to motivate themselves because they've had their head filled with rocks by the diet industry their whole lives, and they just think about looking better. And it never gets the job done. So that's what I think. Dot says, when I feel restricted, I obsess and binge. Now that is great to realize, because I would say you are like most people. Most of you, when you restrict, you end up obsessing and then ultimately binging. Do you not? Now, if that's true, if this is true for most people, that when you overly restrict or restrict intensely, that you end up obsessing on food and then you end up ultimately binging on it. If that is true, if one follows the other, is the answer to restrict and then not obsess and binge? Or is the answer to stop restricting so severely so that you don't obsess and binge? And I think this is where this is the fork in the road. And most of you want to, no, I'll keep restricting, but I just won't obsess and binge. And again, I say that to that, you're pulling yourself out of the physical world of reality, and you're living in fantasy land. This fairy tale fantasy land where you can just completely cut all your calories down and then just be the same person who just keeps making the same decisions. Again, that's what I'm saying. Like, they have done studies on willpower, and a very elegant study where they would bring people in and they would have them do math problems. And math problems take prefrontal cortex energy. So they would spend their time thinking about these, puzzling and, doing all this stuff over it. And then they would walk them down the hall and they would offer them cookies and brownies and stuff. And then the other people come in and they didn't do any of that stuff. And they went down to the room and they'd offer them cookies and brownies. Guess which ones ate more cookies and brownies? The ones that did the math problem, because your willpower is run by the same part of your brain that does problem solving. So the more problem solving you did, the more energy you draw down on that muscle, and the less willpower you have. So this idea that you can cut all your calories down, by the way, your prefrontal cortex is the most energy intensive part of your brain. So you're going to restrict calories. And now that's basically weakening this muscle. And now when you restrict calories and you get really hungry, all of your senses get fixated and focused on food. And now you're just going to fight that, though. You may for a little while, but eventually you will not be able to. Again, it's like saying, well, I ran a marathon, so I'm going to run another marathon. So what? So what if I just ran a marathon? Knock yourself out. I just ran 2 marathons, but of course I'll just run another one. So what? Go ahead. I've run 3 marathons. I'm going to do another one. Why wouldn't I be able to do another one? Because at some point you run out of the energy. Do we not live in a physical world? So I think the more you believe that you can live outside the bounds of physical reality, I think the more frustration and tension you're going to experience in your weight loss journey. And the more strategic you are working with who you truly are as a human, the better results you'll get. So, yeah, I wouldn't over restrict. I don't think that's a smart approach because you're not alone. Everyone restricts and then obsesses on food and then ultimately binges. But again, the problem is you think that one day you're magically just going to be able to do that forever. I am going to say, I bet you can't. Yep. A lot of people are in the program. Yes. That's up, Katie. And Dot says, but at the same time, I can't let myself eat what I want the whole time. Well, that's where things get interesting. What do you want to eat? So yes, you absolutely have to change your eating. Obviously, if you want to lose weight, you've got to eat differently. But the secret is, now listen, you've got to reduce your average calorie consumption. There's no question about it. Weight loss is always the result of one thing, reducing your average calorie consumption. Simple, plain truth. So how do you do that though? Now, most dieters are going to do that by restricting 50 to 60% of their calories on day one. Just slop them off. Just slop them off. I'm just going to cut my calories down by half so I can lose weight quickly. And now you trigger that obsession on food. And again, you can just set a timer to when you're going to binge. So what's the alternative? That you be more strategic, that you kind of fly under the radar of your senses, that you cut 10 to 20% of your calories down. It's not crazy that way. Yeah, but Jim, I got to lose more weight. Well, you have to lose it all at once. You didn't put it on all at once. So yeah, you absolutely have to transform your eating. No question about it, but it's going to take a little bit of time. And over restricting, I know everyone wants fast, instant results. I get it. But that goal of instant results leads to unsustainable strategies like over restricting that cause you to binge, which cause you to not get the results you want. So again, binging is almost always related to over restricting and emotions that you don't know how to deal with. And until you deal with those two things, it's going to be difficult to change your eating for any period of time. What's up, Kent? Kent says, I don't restrict evening snacking any longer. I choose not to snack because I sleep much better. Now, Kent's given, you know what I mean? He's giving you the keys to the kingdom in that statement. Agreed. Now, that's the mindset piece of changing your diet, which most dieters, again, will just skip because what do you need a mindset shift for? You already know what you need to do. You just got to get yourself to do it. That magical day when you get yourself to do it, right? That elusive magical day when you just all of a sudden get yourself to do it, right? Isn't that what dieters are waiting for? That day never seems to show up. And when it does show up, it doesn't last very long. But Ken here is really just giving you the whole keys to the kingdom, that he's reframed it. It's not a restriction. I don't want to eat. I don't want to eat at night because I sleep like shit and I like sleeping well and I like waking up with energy and I like feeling good. So what he's talking about in a more detailed way is that everything's good and bad. Your eating is good and bad. Now, you've been conditioned your entire life to only focus on the good of eating, which is the anticipation and consumption of it. But you never focus on the short-term consequences of your eating. I shouldn't eat the ice cream because I don't want to gain weight at some random point in the future, far away. But you never pay attention to the 5 seconds after you finish the ice cream, what you're saying to yourself, what you're feeling emotionally and physically. And if you did, very quickly you'd start making different decisions. And that's what Ken's talking about. So instead of saying, oh, I can't eat tonight because I want to lose weight. I can't eat the ice cream. I can't eat the ice cream because I want to lose weight somewhere. I can't eat the ice cream. He's saying, I don't want to eat the ice cream because I want to sleep good tonight. I want to wake up tomorrow energized. I want to feel good when I wake up. I want to feel good about myself. Do you see the difference, folks? I don't know if it's hitting you, because I know it's hard because you're in a dieter trance. So a lot of times you can't hear what I'm saying there. But what Ken's saying is literally in a nutshell is the whole program yourself then approach. Now he's in the program. I mean, just come up with this, but again, he's taking it in so deeply. And that's such a profound idea, because anything, any food, every time you say no to a food, because of the diet industry and because of the world we live in, you're fixated on the deprivation of not getting that food. However, every time you say no to that food, you're also saying yes to something else positive. Let me put it a different way. You do this all the time in other areas of your life, right? So, I don't know. Again, I had shopping sprees, right? Of course, who wouldn't want to just go on a shopping spree? Just go to the mall and buy everything you ever wanted. Be fun, right? So why don't you do it? Because you're acutely aware of what the consequence of that is and you're connected to it. But when it comes to food, you don't think about the consequences. You're not connected to the consequences. You've had your whole life, tens of millions of ads have trained you to focus on the anticipation and consumption of food. And you never think about the immediate consequences that await you right after that last bite. And if you did, you would realize, oh my God, I don't have to stop myself from eating at night. I just have to pay attention that, holy shit, when I eat at night, I sleep like shit. Now you've gotten used to it, so you don't realize it. But this happens to everyone I ever work with. When you get a belly full of shitty food and then you go to bed, you're running hot because you're digesting. Digestion's a huge source of energy. So at a time when you're supposed to be relaxing, recovering, your body's running a marathon to try and digest all this stuff. It's raising your core body temperature, which prevents you from sleeping deeply. And you're tossing and turning, sweating, not sleeping well, waking up the next morning tired. Now, guess what kind of food choices you make when you're tired? Not healthy ones, typically. You don't perform at your best when you wake up tired. But, you're probably in this, again, you're in this zombie trance of feeling like shit all the time because of your weight, because you're eating, But the fastest way, see, again, the weight loss takes a little while, but you can start feeling absolutely incredible immediately. You could start feeling amazing today. You don't have to wait to lose weight to feel amazing. Just make a couple healthy food choices today, and you will go to bed tonight feeling on top of the world. And the diet industry is conditioning you not to think about that. Just think about the weight. Just focus on the weight. That's all that matters is the weight, and nothing matters until you lost the weight. So you don't get to feel good until some fucking distance in the future. And the whole time you feel miserable and stressed. Kent doesn't. Kent is say, I don't want to eat this now because I love waking up in the morning feeling good. I like going to bed with an empty stomach so I can sleep well. I do the same thing. But it's a completely different mindset. Yeah, trading off 5 minutes of pleasure for 16 hours of feeling better the next day. Yeah, duh, right? Exactly. But there it is. I mean, that's the mindset shift, folks. You guys have never learned how to shift your mindsets. You've been conditioned to think like dieters. So you've got to change that. If you're ever going to change your weight, you've got to change your mindset. Got to change your mindset. Nice job, Ken. Excuse me. Oops. What's up, Tabitha? Super producer says, I've been telling myself I need to start procrastinating, but it's too easy. Just start procrastinating. I love that. That's such a fun one. It is so fun sometimes when we flip what we're trying to do or not do. I think that's always a fun exercise to do. I've dealt a lot with procrastination. Kimberly G says, do you ever believe your body likes it at a certain weight? Yeah, I do. But I think more importantly, and I do think your body definitely does get used to a certain weight. There's no question about that. However, I think the much bigger factor is that your brain likes it at a certain weight, because you have to understand that your weight is a reflection of your behavior. And your brain's main organizing principle over millions and millions and millions of years of evolution, your brain has evolved to conserve energy. That's its number one thing it wants to do. It wants to conserve energy. And so there's a great saying that people prefer a known hell to an unknown heaven. And the idea is that even if you're not happy with your reality, you know it. You got it. You know how to get through the day being overweight, struggling with your weight. You think about losing weight 24 hours a day and you do it on autopilot. It's very easy for you to do. Changing your behavior takes extra energy. And so your brain says, I literally started today's thing. I always do a little lesson in the beginning. And today's lesson was stop trusting your brain if you want to lose weight, because your brain doesn't want you to change. Do you understand that? Your brain wants you to keep doing the exact same thing you're doing because it's easy for you to do it. To understand this, you need to understand we have a conscious mind, a subconscious mind. You're primarily subconscious. You're not a logical creature. That's the newest evolutionary part of your brain, is the prefrontal cortex, where your logic is. And so your brain is running, it just wants to run on autopilot. And so when you learn things in your life, once you learn them, they go into your subconscious mind. Reading, writing, driving, using a computer mouse, using your phone. You do all of these things on autopilot now. You're not thinking about doing them. You just do them. Okay. And so all of your eating behaviors pretty much run on autopilot. You eat the same things day in and day out, week in, week out, month in, month out. That's why your weight stays pretty much the same, even though you're doing everything you can to fight against it. So again, dieting is basically using your conscious mind to fight against your subconscious mind. How's that working? Your subconscious mind's infinitely more powerful. And so program yourself thin, the philosophy is that we're looking to reprogram our subconscious mind so that we naturally and automatically do things that keep us at our goal weight. You're not doing that as a dieter. As a dieter, you're fighting against your subconscious programming. Again, you have the mindset right now of an overweight person. If you all are overweight and have been overweight for a little while, you have the mindset of an overweight person. That's why it's so easy for you to be overweight. Because the foods you think about eating, the way you think about eating them, how often you think about eating them, all these things are automated in you. And you just do them automatically, naturally. Just like you brush your teeth. You don't have a timer going off to remind you to brush your teeth. You just do it because you just remember to do it at the times you do it. Well, your eating is the same way. It's very pattern oriented. The choices you make, how much is enough, how fast you eat, all of these things are programmed in, and they're keeping you at the weight you're at. And every time you try and lose weight, you try and diet. And again, dieting is not a mindset in and of itself. Dieting is an anti-mindset. So what it is it says, okay, I'm going to diet, which is an anti-mindset, meaning I'm going to fight against my natural mindset, which is to be overweight. So, let's have the cookies. No. Let's have the ice cream. No. Let's have the chips. No. Let's have pizza. No. No. And you know yourself down to your goal weight. But again, the same problem exists, that you still got an overweight mindset. You didn't change your mindset at all. You just fought against it to get your weight down. And what do 95% of dieters do once they get to their goal weight? You already know the answer. They put the weight back on. Why? Because you never changed your mindset. And your mindset's always going to dictate your weight. So there's absolutely a physiological, biochemical, hormonal component to weight, no doubt. And there is this, your body will, to some degree, aim to get you back. Now, you can mitigate that. You can deal with it. So you're not forever overweight because of that, but you better have a comprehensive, holistic strategy to deal with that. And again, the most important part, in my opinion, is your mind, your mindset. You don't have the mindset of a thin and healthy person. Your goal has never been to develop the mindset of a thin and healthy person. Your goal has been, let me lose weight. And so you force your overweight mindset. You fight against it until you lose the weight. It always feels like a battle, doesn't it, folks? It's not a battle for me. I dropped 50 pounds. I've been the same way for 30 years. One blip, 12 years ago. But I'm the same way. It's easy for me. I love how I eat. I love how I live. I love how I think. It's easy for me to attain my weight because I programmed in new behaviors, thoughts, and lifestyle into my subconscious mind. So I do a lot of this stuff automatically. So just as it's the same for you, your weight's high, but it stays pretty much the same weight. You're not constantly putting 20 pounds on a year, most likely. Very few people do that. Your weight's kind of hovering at the same thing. It might go up a little bit year after year, but it's at a certain point, and you're doing everything you can to change it. You can't change it. Well, I'm like the same way, but I'm at a lower weight. That makes sense. So I 30 years of being the same exact weight. I haven't dieted once. Never diet. I don't work out at all. I'm starting to because for other reasons. So how'd I do it? Well, I mastered my eating. I mastered my mindset, mastered my lifestyle. That's what we teach in the program. So if you want to test that out, and again, why does your body like it? Because it's familiar with it. You do what you know. So again, I suggest this to all of you that are not in my world, go click the link in my bio and go get the hypnosis session I give you. Watch the video I made for you. There's a better way. Weight mastery it's not rocket science. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm smart enough, but I'm not a genius. This isn't that hard. The thing is, it just starts right again with the goal. I say this every day, but as a dieter, your goal is weight loss. You just want to get to your goal weight. And that's probably what you've done at certain times in your life. You've gotten to your goal weight. And then what happened? You put the weight back on. My goal with my clients and for myself is to live at my goal weight for the rest of my life on near autopilot. You've never heard that goal. You've never set that as a goal. And that's why you've been nowhere close to achieving it. It's the equivalent of, again, running east looking for a sunset. Like that's how completely off track you are, metaphorically. And as long as you keep focusing on losing weight, you're going to keep yourself stuck in this cycle. The diet industry is run by the food industry, folks. All the things you think about weight loss have been put there by big old food companies. Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz. Jenny Craig was owned by Nestle. Atkins Food Products was owned by the same company that owns Auntie Anne's Pretzels and Cinnabon. Slim Fast owned by the same company that owns Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Do you really think these people are going to teach you how to be thin and healthy? I don't think so. And so again, it's not, I know you always think it's your fault because you haven't had the willpower to stick to things. I'm telling you, that's not accurate. It's that you've never been shown how to master your weight. You've never even used that phrase. You've never once in your life set the goal that I want to master my weight. You've never said that. You have never in your life even heard. You've never even heard someone even remotely say the goal should not be to lose weight. The goal should be to live at your goal weight for the rest of your life on near autopilot. You've never even considered that as a goal in your entire life. As much as you obsess on your weight, you've never even gotten within 100 miles of that goal. Admit it. And that's why you haven't gotten within 100 miles of achieving that goal. It's not because you're stupid. It's not because you don't have willpower. It's not because you're a sugar addict. It's because you have no fucking clue how to live like a thin and healthy person. No one has shown that to you. I didn't know how to do it. I learned it from people that lost weight and kept it off for at least 2 years. And I've been obsessed with people like that for the last 30 years of my life. And I've been doing this professionally for 20 years. So again, if you're even remotely serious about your health, your weight, your quality of life, you really owe it to yourself to click the link in my bio and get the hypnosis session and watch the video I made. Because it ain't rocket science. In the program, we follow the weight mastery blueprint. It's a pyramid, right? So it's a weight mastery pyramid. Mindset, lifestyle, eating. When is the last time you have focused on your weight by creating a comprehensive plan that impacts your mindset, your lifestyle, and your eating? Doesn't that make sense when I say those words? Don't you think that your mindset and your lifestyle are going to impact the food choices you're able to make? Don't you think creating a customized eating plan built on you might make sense? So, yeah. So it's not your body that likes it the way it's your brain. And so you need to add new stuff into your brain. Somebody says, yeah, once your body gets to a certain weight, it's hard to get past it. I'm not saying it's easy. It does take work, but it's not the work you're thinking. You're thinking the work it takes to lose weight and stay there is willpower based. And I'm saying the work it takes is learning based. If you think of like mastering your weight, like going to college and learning a bunch of shit, then that's a better way to think of it. So for example, right, so I talk about weight mastery pyramid. And I just want you to recognize you don't know, you never think about any of this shit. What you've been given a steady diet of in the diet world is people telling you what to eat. And then you try and force yourself to follow that plan. You never once have learned how to get yourself to change your behaviors comfortably. And to do that, you need to understand your mindset. Now, I can say the word mindset, and I'm going to guess you have no idea really what a mindset is. Like if you had to define what a mindset is, you would be struggling. At best, you might go to the fixed growth mindset stuff. That's about as far as I've ever seen people get. In Program Yourself, then we got 6 categories of mindset: motivation, your self-image, habits, emotions, thinking, maintenance. We break it down into sections again as the weight mastery blueprints. You fill these out. Do you know how to motivate yourself? Like truly motivate yourself? The answer is no, or you'd be at your goal weight. So you learn to motivate yourself. The next thing is your self-image. You know you have an identity. You probably identify as an overweight person who struggles to lose weight. That's not an identity I'd want to hold on to. I had to dramatically shift my identity to live as a thin, healthy person. Habits. Do you know how to strategically utilize habits that are going to support you? Do you know how to transform unhealthy weight gaining habits into ones that keep you at your goal weight? And I know you don't. You're not utilizing habits. You're fighting against your bad habits with your willpower. Emotions. Do you know how to feel the emotions you want to feel and deal with the shitty emotions you don't want to feel without food? Probably not, because we're conditioned to use food as our main emotional management strategy. Thinking, do you literally know how to think like a thin, healthy person? The questions to ask, the words to use, the thoughts to have? Probably not. And then maintenance. Do you know how to maintain so you can live at your goal weight for the rest of your life? Do you know how to deal with times of stress? Do you know how to deal with setbacks, mistakes? Do you know how to keep going? Well, I'll let you answer that. And then there's lifestyle. Do you know the 8 habits that will support you dramatically, transform your body, your mind into a completely different version of you? In order of importance, these habits that I help you install. In order of importance: sleeping, hydration, relaxation, breathing, nourishment, movement, meditation, gratitude. If you're able to comfortably weave these into your life, don't you think those would support you to make healthier choices? And then there's the eating piece again. And obviously, there's figuring out how to eat for yourself. You create a one-size-fits-one plan. This idea that, oh, just stop eating carbs. Oh, okay, so all 8 billion people should follow this? Now, first of all, the keto plan is fucking goofy. It's a goofy diet, one of the goofiest out there. I'll just let you know, for all you keto people. If you want to know why you're overweight, even though you keep trying to do keto, it's because it's a stupid plan. But anyways, even regardless, don't you think you ought to figure out an eating plan based on who you are? Don't you think you're a unique individual? I always joke that, would you let me tell you what music to listen to or what clothes to wear or what movies to watch? Would you? Or would you say, I'm a human being who has my own personal interest and likes and dislikes, Jim. You can't tell me what I'm going to like and what I'm going to do. But when it comes to food, you're just, what? You're just going to let someone just tell you what to eat for the rest of your life? You're not. And that's why you're not sticking to the plans as well. So, there's a lot of reasons why you're not losing the weight, and almost none of them have to do with your self-control or willpower. They all kind of point back to the same thing, that there's a lack of knowledge there. And I'm not blaming you for it until now. I mean, what you do from this point forward that's up to you. That's on you now. But what is it? The wrong me once, shame on you, wrong me twice, shame on me type of thing, So I don't blame you. We've all been lived in this hypnotic bubble of dieting when it comes to weight loss. And so we all think like dieters. And dieting works so well that 75% of the population in America now of adults is overweight or obese. So that's how great dieting works. You're not alone. You're not the only one. Dieting doesn't work. It doesn't work for a number of reasons. Primarily, though, the ones I just said, that you're never dealing with your mindset. You're never shifting your lifestyle so it supports you. You're never coming up with an eating plan custom built for you. You're just trying to rely on these one-size-fits-all prescriptions, and they never work they don't fucking work for anyone, though. That's what I'm trying to tell you. 95% of people that lose weight on a diet put it back on. 75% of adult Americans are overweight or obese. So, but there is a solution. And it's right in my bio. That's the start of it, I think. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, if y'all have any questions about what I'm saying, feel free to ask. I don't know. For some of you, it might be the first time you heard this stuff. It'll be a little jarring. Yeah. Mauchi says, if I'm pronouncing that right, excuse me if I'm not, how do you figure out your identity? Well, that's a great question. How do you figure out your self-image and identity? Well, the first thing we have to point out is that you have never sat down and crafted your ideal self-image and identity. So where did your self-image identity come from? You just absorbed it. You absorbed it from the people you were around. A bit of it's genetic, okay, for sure. But a lot of it is the people you were around and the environments you've been in and the experiences you've had. And most of you have never specifically sat down and said, what is my ideal self-image? Who do I want to be? What is the best version of me? And you start asking that question because, again, that becomes to me, that's the core of the whole program. I used to start in the mindset section where you start with the program. We start with self-image because it's that important. You're always going to live up or down to your self-image. Now, unfortunately, most of you have a self-image of being an overweight person who struggles with food and your weight. So as long as you hold on to that self-image, you're always going to experience that reality. I now put motivation in front of it, but then we get to self-image. So again, Program Yourself Thin is not really just about weight loss. It's about weight mastery, but We take the weight loss piece, the weight mastery piece, and we wrap it in personal development. You need to make this bigger than just losing weight. Losing weight is fun while you're losing weight, and then it's not that motivating. That's why 95% of people that lose weight put it back on. If it was so incredible just to be at your goal weight, then why would we have 95% of people putting the weight back on? Why have you put the weight back on? It was so amazing living at your goal weight. It's not enough. I'm here to tell you. So what we need to make this about is not just losing weight or getting to a number or being a size clothes. We need to make this about being the best version of ourselves possible. That's the inspiration. That's the level of inspiration and motivation you need to make this even happen, by the way. You know, no one goes to 4 years of college just so they can, I don't know, it'd be fun. It'd be kind of cool just to have a degree I could put on my wall and show people. That's probably not gonna be enough motivation to make that level of commitment. And so that's what you all are doing with your weight loss. I want to look better. I want to wear a bathing suit to the beach. I want to look good in pictures. Yeah, I mean, that sounds good, but you don't give a fuck about that stuff. That's why you're not doing it. So yeah, to figure out your identity, you got to sit down and ask yourself, what's the best version of me? And it's different for each person because we all value different things. For me, the highest version of me is based on being the best father and husband I can be. That's number one at the top of the list. And then there's being a coach, you know, running a business, being a family man of other members of my family, being a friend, being a community member. I've got all these different identities and the best version of me within them. And so that's what I'm looking at. That's the North Star that I'm aiming at. I just want to weigh a certain amount. I want the scale to stay a certain number on it. That's all I care about. That's such a fucking shitty goal. Like it's so impotent and unmotivating. And I know you don't believe it because you've been conditioned to think that that's the most motivating thing in the world, even though your results prove otherwise. Do you really think that you're as motivated as you can be to lose weight and you're still overweight? That's fucking crazy land. I have never met someone who is motivated. Well, that's not totally true because some people are really motivated and they just don't know what to do. That does exist too. But the vast majority of people I've seen are not really motivated to lose weight. They don't really want to. And I think because most people don't really care that much about what they look like. I know you think you're supposed to, but I think most people don't really care that much about what they look like. Because listen, if let's say you're 60 years old, you've been married for 30 years, your kids are grown up, you got grandkids, you don't give a fuck if you're wearing a bathing suit to the beach. I promise you don't care enough. Like, would it be cool? Yeah, sure. Is it enough to make you actually change? Well, what are your results? And if they're not what you want, then I guess the answer would probably be no, which isn't a bad thing as long as you realize it's because you're not truly motivated. You weigh what you want, folks. How about that? You weigh exactly what you want. Incognito, how's it going? So how can we learn all these habits? Do you have a course you offer? Yeah, of course. I got Program Yourself Thin. I'm not very good at promoting it, but because I say, listen, I don't even want you to get the program. I want you to go listen to the hypnosis session, watch the video I made, learn about it first. It ain't for everyone. I will let you know that. It's for people that are action takers, overthinkers, type A type people that like to jump into things. It's that's the program. And I don't even sell the hypnosis version anymore. So I only sell the mastery program. So you're either all in or you're not in, But yeah, of course, my program, what we do, it's got 3 key parts. There's the hypnosis sessions. It's the #1 hypnosis program on the planet, by the way. Every day for 8 weeks, you get a 5-minute hypnosis session in the morning with a weight loss mantra. And each day it's a different one. And then each week you get a 10-minute hypnosis session. So you get 8 of them and you listen to those repeatedly over the week. So you kind of bookend your days with hypnosis sessions that relax and calm you down and put lots of good stuff in your head. I basically install a thin, healthy mindset into your subconscious mind. The next piece is you learn the Program Yourself Thin technique, which is the redo rehearsal technique. This is the cornerstone of the whole program because basically this is how you program your own mind. You've got to learn how to hypnotize yourself, how to program your own mind, how to run your own mind. This redo rehearsal technique lets you do that. It takes a minute or two. You use it every night. It's very powerful. And then the final piece is the weight mastery blueprints, where we go through your mindset, lifestyle, eating. There's trainings, there's the blueprints, and you fill all those out. So that you have an actual customized blueprint plan to get to your goal weight and live there the rest of your life on your autopilot that's custom built for you. So you don't feel like you're flailing around just trying to eat less. You have an actual plan. And when you have an actual plan, everything changes. I say this every day. You could have very limited math abilities, but if you go to school to become an accountant, guess what? You'll come out the other end being an accountant. Will you be the best accountant? No, I don't know. But will you be an accountant? Yes, absolutely. If you go to school to be a plumber, you're going to come out the other side being a plumber. When you actually learn a comprehensive, holistic approach to mastering your weight, it's completely different than what you're doing because you don't have any of this information. Does that make sense? You're just fighting against yourself. And that doesn't work. What's up, Vicky? On TikTok now. Love when you're fired up and let it rip. Yeah, I know. I was a little fired up there. Yeah, TikTok. I don't know. Instagram, it's still acting weird. I'm still over there, but it keeps cutting me off. It's acting weird today anyways, a little bit. I don't know. I'm noticing like it's acting funny. Real funny. But anyways, here on TikTok, we're still working. I don't even know. TikTok's like, was it half banned? I guess someone told me you can't even download it off the app store now. I don't know what's going on. So weird. Casey says, do you ever eat fast food? No, I almost never eat fast food. And I used to eat a ton of fast food. I used to love fast food. When McDonald's would do the old 2 chicken sandwiches for $2 was like a holiday for me. But no, and again, this is what I try to say to you all, that to give you to kind of make clear what a mindset approach feels like and why it's so powerful. I like to reference, like if you're a non-smoker, if you're watching this, you're a non-smoker. You're not a non-smoker because you're fighting off cigarette cravings all day. You're a non-smoker because the way you think about cigarettes, you don't have any cravings. Right? You think when you think about a cigarette, you're like, they're gross. They're nasty. I don't want them. I don't want them. And so you don't have any cravings. So your mindset's doing the heavy lifting in that case. It's preventing the cravings from even happening. This is what I'm trying to tell you. See, a lot of you, again, because you've learned how to lose weight from the food companies, what they've subconsciously done is the diets literally get you fixated on food. You don't believe me? Let me prove it to you. I want you all to get your willpower. Gather up your willpower because I want you to not think about what I'm about to say. Gather it up, ready? Because I'm going to say something. I want you to not think about it. Okay. Don't think about a banana. Don't think about a yellow banana. Don't think about a banana. So it's like, what you thinking about? So your subconscious mind can't understand negatives. It's got to think about the banana in order to try and somehow not think about it, whatever the hell that means. But at the end of the day, your visual cortex is lighting up with a yellow fruit in your mind. So when you go on a diet, what do you think you obsess about? Carbs, sugar, fat, fast food, junk food, cookies, ice cream, and you're obsessed on those things. And when you're obsessed on those things, what do you think the ultimate outcome is going to be? Yeah, I'm going to eat them. So again, diets have done you dirty. So anyways, get back to the mindset piece. So the reason I don't eat fast food is I've learned, I've been studying this stuff for 30 years. I mean, I read, on average, I'll slow down a little bit lately, but I usually read a book a week, so I've learned so much about nutrition and fast food and junk food that it's just like, think about the evolution we went through with cigarettes. I think that's very applicable because cigarettes are the precursor to the fast food, by the way. There's going to be warning labels on these fast foods and junk foods eventually, just like cigarettes, because they're just as damaging, but they're flying under the radar just like the cigarettes were, before the 60s, 70s, And so, not that people thought they were healthy, but they didn't realize how unhealthy they were and how deadly they were. And it's the same thing with the food. It's deadly, but we don't think of it that way. So again, I think of fast food and I think I think it's really bad, but now it's gotten to the point where I literally tried. I went to Burger King, a couple of years ago. They started having like the veggie burger, I'm vegetarian. So I went and I got it and it was disgusting to me. Disgusting. Now, a lot of that's my mindset. I'm like, I know what the buns are made out of. I know what they're designed to do. I know what all the stuff is. So I don't really enjoy it, which isn't to say I don't ever eat junk food. I eat junk food occasionally, like some chips and, shit like that. But fast food, I find to be very unappealing to me. So no, I almost never eat it, but I want to point out, and I want to make this crystal clear. Please get this. I don't not eat fast food because I want it and I'm stopping myself. I want you to understand that. I don't eat it because I think it's disgusting the way I think of it now. And I didn't always think that way. This is what I'm trying to tell you all. You dieters think you're going to crave and love this food, and then you're going to use willpower to stop that and fight against it. What I'm talking about is a mindset approach where we change the way you think and feel about the foods. And that does a lot of the heavy lifting. Now, you may be a person, your journey, you may not end up hating fast food. I drank alcohol for a long time. I still drink it. I drink a way less of it. But even when I was getting control of my weight, I was drinking alcohol. I knew it wasn't good for me. So again, I'm not trying to say like I'm not holier than thou at all. I'm not casting stones here. We all got our journey we're walking. But for my journey personally, is fast food to me has become I don't like it. When I think about it, I don't like what it is. I don't like the companies. I don't like how it tastes anymore. So I don't find a desire for it. So don't really ever eat it. And every time I do occasionally eat it, I do not enjoy it. So that makes it even easier. And I know that sounds crazy to you all. It would have sounded crazy to me when I was eating so much fast food, but that's another lesson, is that you can change. Casey says, no fast food, I'd simply pass away. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like if that's how you feel, I felt that way with alcohol, to be honest. I was a binge blackout drinker, and I had a real problem, but I just never felt in my soul that I didn't feel like an alcoholic, and I didn't want to stop drinking. I'm a yoga instructor, and I would drink while I was again. I wasn't getting inebriated. I got away control of it pretty early on, but I was still, drinking. So again, I'm trying to say, like, we all have our own path. I had a program called Addictive Health, and the whole idea was, I think a lot of times people think they need to be perfect in order to make the changes. And I think keep up your bad habits, but let's get healthy while you're doing them. I think a lot of people do the all or nothing thing. So again, to you, Casey, I'd say, fine, keep eating fast food. You can still lose weight. You can still become healthier. Maybe you love fast food. I did, and it just changed, but it was one of those things that changed. The alcohol didn't for me at first. It is kind of moving in a different place now, finally. But I did get control of it. But so for you, it may not be about giving fast food up. It might be just, starting to moderate it more and making other changes. This is what I'm trying to say. But hear what I'm saying, because you never get this message with weight loss. Weight loss is always, no, you got to get rid of fast food. You got to cut it down. If you want results, no pain, no gain. You're hearing the same bullshit, and you never get any flexibility. You never get to honor yourself. It's all, weight loss is always about making yourself miserable to lose weight quickly. And I think that's the core reason why no one's doing it. No one's losing weight. And it's not even hard. It's really not hard. I promise you. You got to get your fucking head right, though. And part of getting your head right is saying, you know what? I want to lose weight, but I'm going to keep eating fast food. Huh? Your brain's like, what? Oh, I don't understand what this means. I'll start to moderate the fast food. Eating fast food all the time is not enjoyable, by the way. Just so you know. Eating fast food every meal, that's not enjoyable. You're going to feel like shit. Let's be honest. Okay? So let's moderate it, though. I'll eat fast food. I'm going to start cutting it down a bit. I'm going to replace with some healthier stuff, but I'll still eat some fast food. Again, program yourself in. Part of our eating structure is having clean and pleasure days, so that you can still have your fast food. If that's what you really love, go have fast food. You can still lose weight. Again, what most dieters think, I have to give up the fast food in order to lose weight. Oh my God, I'd simply pass away. Well, then you're not going to start losing weight. If you know what I mean? I know you're joking a little bit, but not really, because our subconscious mind's very emotional. So most of you are there, as much as you want to lose weight, you're not going to do it because you think of it as being miserable, hard. Your quality of life goes down. And so you avoid it. You don't do it. And so until you change that and realize that losing weight can be really enjoyable. Again, program yourself in. One of my favorite stories, I remember someone was signing up, and it was Thursday night. And they go, oh, what's the meal plan like? Because I got friends coming this weekend, and I don't know if I'm able to follow it. I say, well, good news. There's no fucking meal plan. There's no meal plan. You know how you start the program? You start by listening to a 5-minute hypnosis session tomorrow. So you start tomorrow, and you listen to your little session, and you relax, and you feel better than you have like in years. You're finally relaxed and calm, breathing. Oh, that feels nice. You're getting good stuff put in your head. Feel motivated and go about your day. And you start to notice, yeah, I'm making a healthier decision. Holy shit, that was easy. You come home, listen to your nighttime session, 10 minutes. Oh, that feels nice. I have to sneak naps in for you all, because I just, it's so shocking, like how people, I guess it's an American thing, I don't know. People so scared to take a nap. That's a productive time. What about the fucking hours you sit in front of a TV? The naps are bad, hours of TV. The 10-minute nap's bad, hours of TV is great. I cannot tell you the number of people that are just like, taking a nap. Oh, yeah. Well, how about this? You need to relax and calm down and re-energize yourself. That's why you keep making shitty food choices. But anyways, so you listen to hypnosis sessions. And again, it's important to remember that the hypnosis is not just what I'm saying and like changing your mind with the words. It's the experience of relaxing and calming down. That's going to change your weight probably as much as anything. Tell me you're not stressed and anxious. So we need a holistic approach. to mastering the old weight. Larita says, so I have aphantasia and I don't see anything or hear anything in my mind. Wow, that's interesting. I've heard people like that. It's so interesting. I've never gotten to like work or have a conversation with a person like that. So it's so fascinating to me. This is fascinating stuff. Mine's a funny thing. Larita Joy, would this work for? Oh, would this work for me? If you don't see anything hear anything in your mind, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say it probably would not work for you. You don't have to like visualization again is usually misunderstood. You don't have to see crystal clear things in your mind. Well, let me say, will it work for you? The most important thing, and I think this is crazy, and a lot of people miss this. It's not about seeing crystal clear images in your head. That's not the most important thing. And it's not even what you say to yourself. And although that is important, it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is being able to feel what you want to feel in your body. Think about this. In your life, when you're more relaxed and calm, centered, energized, feeling good, do you tend to make better food choices naturally versus when you're stressed, anxious, tired, exhausted, overwhelmed? If you're like most people, you tend to just make better choices without learning anything else, just knowing what you know, you tend to naturally make better, healthier decisions when you're more relaxed and calm than when you're stressed out. And now we take that next level. Most Americans are stressed out. You're under a chronic state of stress and overwhelm. And so you add on top of that when you want to lose weight by adding even more stress and overwhelm with a diet that's really intense. And all the diets are intense. And so, yeah, if you don't see or hear anything in your mind, that's I don't know. I haven't had something like that. But if you could feel things in your body, I don't know how you could control how you're feeling. Maybe you have enhanced abilities to control what you feel in your body. I don't know. That's very interesting. It's very interesting. So I can't answer that. I have not worked with someone that. Casey says, is fast food and bad food still dangerous if you're not very overweight? Not as dangerous, I wouldn't say. But I wouldn't say it's as dangerous, but I don't know. The way I look at fast food and junk food now at this point, and I've really evolved on this. I want to make this crystal clear. And I try to say this because I did not feel this way. So I try to point out that I'm not just someone who's just like always like a healthy eater. Like I used to eat a bunch of bullshit all the time and I loved it. And it really was evolved thinking. But I think of fast food and bad food as dangerous to my body. I do. Even if I'm at my goal weight, I just think it messes with my metabolism. I think it messes with my cellular functioning. I think it messes with my body because it's not natural. And I think these shit bags that make this food and engineer this food are doing it to specifically designed to make you overweight and get you to overconsume it. So I can't answer that specifically because everyone's different. And so some people could eat fast food their whole lives and be healthy, I suppose. But for me, I have a kind of a generalized negative feeling towards bad food and junk food, which is what helps me not eat it very often. And that helps me manage my weight, So Casey says I'm a very big binge drinker as well and black out every time, but that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. I mean, oh my God, those days. Yeah, and I get it. That's a tough one. They're probably related though. By the way, if you are struggling with weight at all, those are certainly probably related. I'm more than happy to take naps, so that's good. Yeah, how many cultural hypocrisies, mixed messages? Yeah, absolutely. Always get mixed messages in this culture. It's a besogenic environment is what they call it technically. And yeah, okay. Larita says I feel deeply. Yeah, well, if you can change how you feel, that is so fast. I hesitate to answer that. I just hesitate because I've never worked with someone that, and it just seems so extreme that I don't know how the program would work for you. Cause I can't, it's so funny. There's a thing called theory of the mind, which allows us to kind of have a sense of what people think, but I really draw a blank when I hear people that have this condition, and I haven't had conversations with people to kind of dive into what it's actually like. So it's hard for my brain to even imagine what that would feel like, and which prevents me from, I don't know if it would work, but feeling deeply is a good sign. Don says, do you think our subconscious gets sarcasm? That's an interesting question. Does our subconscious mind get sarcasm? I feel like it does. I feel like I've used sarcasm as a tool in my life. It's been my probably main emotional management strategy my whole life is sarcasm. And I've used it in situations where I felt like I couldn't change the situation. And so I use sarcasm as a way to deal with it. And so I feel like the sarcasm made me feel better. Did it actually make me feel better? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how to answer that. Does it get sarcasm? They always say like the subconscious mind's extremely literal. But literal is an interesting point, because it comes down to the words we're saying, but the words we're saying are anchors. So it kind of comes down to what our visual cortex sees, but then it comes down to what we're actually feeling in our body. So I don't know how you would define that. That's a good question. I don't have the answer to that one either. Lane says, I tried for years to quit smoking and finally quit at 69. That was 6 years ago. Wow. Congratulations. Great job. Great job. Very important too, right? Maybe it made you feel more empowered. Yeah, it definitely made me feel more empowered. The sarcasm gave me control over a situation that I felt I had no control over. And it worked. It made me, I couldn't change the external reality, so I could change the internal way I responded to it. And the sarcasm was the tool I used to do that. Now, what did I think subconsciously? I couldn't answer that. I don't know. Good question. I haven't thought about that one. So good one though. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. Great questions as usual. Yeah, if you're new here, if you haven't been here before, click the link in my bio, go get the hypnosis session, watch the video I made for you, read the emails. They'll all help you out. Okay. They're all free too. So go check them out. I don't know how I'm messing. So go check that out. And then this is a podcast. I do this live every day. So if you ever have questions, I'm here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Eastern. And if you ever miss it and want to listen to it, it's a podcast, Program Yourself Then. That'll help you. Moon says, I've finally been losing weight, but overate yesterday, trying not to restrict today. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Again, I look at, don't get me wrong. I mean, when I would overeat, I definitely would use it as leverage to clean up my eating the next day. But I use the framing of clean it up rather than, I don't want to restrict, because if I overeat today and then tomorrow I really restrict to make up for it, like super restrict, then I feel like I'm just throwing myself off for the next day. And I feel like I'm putting myself right on this roller coaster. So if I have a day where I overeat, what I'm looking to do is, again, I structure my eating. So I have clean and pleasure days. So it depends where it shows up, but it doesn't really matter because my eating is very structured. And so if I randomly overeat one day, I'm looking more to like really stick with my plan the next day. So it's not so much about restricting a lot. It's about really dialing in what I planned on doing and eating super clean. Clean being, I just want to make really good decisions based on what I wanted to do, what my goal was that day. That makes sense. Yeah, I love the clean it up framing. Yeah, we'll use that when I overeat ice cream enchilada. Yeah, sure. I use it all the time because I overeat regularly, but I'm not going to let the overeating throw me. I think that's the worst part. I always say this, that, in politics, I always say it's not the crime, it's the cover up. And I think with food, it's not the binging, it's what we do afterwards. And so it's rarely the binge that's the problem. It's that the binge triggers weeks, months, years of shitty eating after it. So again, when I overeat, I'm looking to kind of level things out, physically, mentally, emotionally. Now, again, which isn't to say that I may restrict a little bit the next day, like a little bit, but nothing that's going to throw me off kilter, because the overeating threw me off kilter. So now I'm looking to ground myself. And so again, I use the clean framing where it's like, okay, I'm going to eat extra clean, which is always my goal. My goal is to eat clean, but now I bring a little extra, intention and motivation to it. And I find that framing feels better for me and supports me moving forward. Tabitha said, what? So what? Wait, what? So I'm going to say, so what you think about people who have had food addiction? I think it should be treated as a drug addiction. You wouldn't tell a drug addict to have in moderation, but to quit it, right? Yeah. Okay. So I get this, right? I get this a lot. No, I don't agree with that. I think food addictions, and I have dealt with people that have been in food anonymous, food addicts. So I'm going to take it based on them. But food and drug addictions are different for the simple reason that drugs you can abstain from forever, and food you can't. So I think that right away requires a different strategy and solution, because they're different. And I think that, and your brain knows that. And I think if you try and lie to yourself, you're just setting yourself up for failure. That's what I think. Now, that being said, I think most of the time, from my experience, people can have a lot more control over the food than they think they can. So I find most people, I mean, shit, we live in a culture where 75% of the people are overweight or obese, which says to me that the vast majority of people have no idea how to influence their eating. Right? Isn't that what that means? You may know what to do, but can you do it? And the answer is obviously no, based on that stat. So taking that to another level, it's extreme though. So I'm a food addict. Okay. Well, I tried doing that and I can't. Well, what did you try and do to control it? What'd you do? Well, this is just like a drug. Well, what drug are we comparing it to? Are we comparing potato chips to H? Are we comparing ice cream to white powder people put up their nose? Are we comparing cookies to alcohol addiction? Because they have some similarities and a whole lot of differences biochemically and neurologically. So I think that sometimes that connection's taken a little too far. Now, I also say sometimes people absolutely have an addictive response to certain substances in foods. And so again, sometimes the answer is to just exclude it. But I have found that that's usually served best as a last ditch effort, last ditch strategy. And that most people, when they're really congruent and have good strategy, can gain way more control over foods. And I think food is way easier to control than a lot of these substances. I don't think it's easy, but I think it's easier. And I don't think they're the same. But for some people they are. And so for those people, yeah, you should go the abstinence route. But I found more often than not, way more often than not, that the people thought they were addicted to something, and it turned out they just didn't know how to moderate it. I gain control over a lot of foods and how to have them in moderation, but the food chains with ADD. Oh, additives. I did cold turkey and I feel peace. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, again, so I mean, and what I just said to some degree is bullshit because I don't eat land animals at all. I completely abstain from land animals. I eat fish occasionally. I virtually abstain completely from fast food. I almost never eat fast food. I don't consider D'Angelo's fast food in any way. It's real food cooked up there. I don't eat any fast food. I eat very, very, very little junk food. You could literally almost say I abstain from it, you know? So I'm kind of talking on both sides of my mouth, but I guess that's the way I come at it. And I've always, again, understand I am not an addict. So I always make that point too. And I was a binge blackout drinker, but I didn't feel like an alcoholic. So I always make a distinction there. And I've proven I was right because I got control of it. And now I hardly drink at all. So I was right about that. But again, it's not up for me to tell you whether you're an addict or not. That's up for you to decide. And to cut out additives, I think is a great idea. So you know what? I'm going to take it back, Tabitha. And I think, yeah, if you cut out additives, but what I think, here's the thing. And I'm giving a mealy mouth answer. I can hear it and I don't like it, but I think if you approach, like if you're in the midst of a food addiction and the idea that I got to stop sugar, I got to stop additives, I got to stop this stuff that I'm addicted to, I think sometimes it creates a lot of pressure and stress that I've seen more often that creates bad results than good results. The cold turkey model with food, I've seen fail way more than I've seen it succeed. So I don't know. I guess this shows the limitations of this format. If I was speaking to you, I'd have way more detail and I feel like I'd give you a much better answer. And in this format, I'm giving you vague, unsatisfying answers. At least I feel that way. Because they're still learning how to moderate a giant understand takes lifetime skill development. Moderate gelato, I'm imagining you're saying. Some things do take longer to moderate. I think that's true too. Some things are easy to get control over and some things take longer. That's the fact of the matter. Of course, I wish it was always the same for everything. I say, well, no, just you do this and it take you 3 weeks and you'll have it. I wish I could say that, but that'd be lying. There's things are different. Different people are different. Different situations in life are different. Different substances are different. So there's a lot of different factors that impact things. So I guess that's what I say. I'm a big fan of like flexibility. I almost always move on the side of flexibility than cold turkey rigidness. But I do also agree that there are times when rigidness is the right answer too. So I guess what I'm saying is nothing concrete. So I don't know how useful it is. That says, how can I stop obsessing over food and become a normal eater? I think that's a huge question, and you need to understand it at a deeper level. But how do you stop obsessing over food and become a normal eater? I would really focus on how do you become a normal eater and what does that mean to you? What's your definition of a normal eater? I'd have to start there because I don't know what your definition of a normal eater is. And so what's normal for you might not be normal for me. And I bet that's true. So I need to know what you meant about normal eating, because you might say, well, I eat a lot of junk food and processed food, and normal eater means I just eat less of it. I don't binge on it. To which I would say, well, that food's literally designed to be binged on. So yeah, that food is literally designed for you to obsess on, So I would say there need to be more detail there. What's a normal eater mean? But the more specific you get about what a normal eater means to you, I think the closer you get to making it a reality. I think a lot of us need to articulate. We need to have more gradient understanding of what a normal eater would be. I think a lot of times we talk in very vague terms that we think we know what they mean, but we don't. And I think normal eater is right up there. I want to be a normal eater. What the fuck does that mean? I wouldn't even begin to know what that means. They say, oh, well, a person eats moderately, they eat healthy food. All that shit's vague. You got to get specific. Every person is unique and has a very specific sense of what they want and what they're dealing with, at the starting point. And we need to get very specific about what those challenges are so that we can articulate specific strategic solutions to those things. And that would start in this question here. I'd love to know what food you're obsessing over, because that would define. So let's just say, let me give you an example of what I mean. You say, well, I'm obsessed with fast food, right? And I want to become a normal eater. And a normal eater is I eat healthier food, right? So I would say, okay, fast food. What fast food specifically? KFC, pizza, burgers, Five Guys. I want to know the specifics. All of them, Jim. Okay, great. So my first thing to do is go research what fast food does to your body. So again, I would change the perception I had of fast food. And that may help you. Because again, it's not even necessarily obsessing. I'm obsessed with food to some degree, but in a completely counter sense, 180 degrees different than you all. Because I've learned so much about food. I think of food like you all think of cigarettes at this point. Like you all have a pretty good idea that cigarettes are really manipulation machines to get people addicted to tobacco. Right. And so that's your predominant paradigm. When you think of a cigarette, you think of it, all the bad stuff of it and how it's manipulative and how it kills people and how it's deadly and all this stuff. That's what you think first. Right. When I say cigarette, you're like, oh man, sweet tobacco, probably. Right. So your initial paradigm with cigarettes at this point is how bad it is for you. But if we talk about fast food, what's your initial paradigm? Out of a bag, eat. You got a very different paradigm. My paradigm is just like the cigarette one. So again, this probably doesn't answer your question because I don't know. Again, I didn't see what your answer was from that point. But yeah, what food are you obsessing over? What's normal eater mean to you? Just eat what I want and stop when I'm satisfied. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's so vague; it means nothing. So I'm what I was just saying to you is the path I would go. To be like, yeah, my goal is I just eat what I want and stop when I'm satisfied. Yeah, no, that's you're nowhere close to making that happen. That's so vague that it means nothing to your subconscious mind. So, yeah, I can't just eat what I want and stop when I'm satisfied. That means nothing to me. I'm so much more strategic with my eating. And I'm so much more detailed about what the foods I'm eating are and the reasons why, good and bad. So I have a much, much richer mental mindset of fast food, junk food, shit food, and what it does to me, and that cigarette paradigm around it. And then I have a whole framing of what foods are good for me and why. Yeah. But of course, trying to eat healthy. Yeah. Again, even eating healthy, There's a lot of buzzwords, folks. I would suggest it's kind of like the emperor's got no clothes. If you really explore to yourself, if you all do this, what's eating healthy mean? What is mindset mean? What does changing my lifestyle mean? And I think you're quickly going to find that there's no there. You don't really have any detailed understanding of those things. And that's a big problem. Because even eating healthy, what does that mean to you? Because I can almost guarantee you, my friend Katie here, who listens all the time, we disagree to some degree on that, and we think a lot the same way, a lot of things. So I'm going to guess that our definitions of eating healthy are dramatically different. And so I wouldn't know. I don't know. Your definition of eating healthy might be just eating less fast food. And I wouldn't consider that healthy at all. I'd consider it healthier, But again, this comes back to a deeper point that with diets are so vague. The idea that you're just going to stop eating carbs. Keto is goofy. And one of the key goofinesses of keto is this idea that people conflate carbs with fat all the time. It's not that the carbs aren't the problem. It's that the carbs you're thinking of are loaded with fat. It's not the potato chips. It's the oil that they're put in. It's not the popcorn. It's the butter on top of it. It's not the flour. It's the fucking donut with the butter and lard in it. So, again, keto has done probably more damage than anything because it's really confused us, and it's moved us away from Whole Foods. Okay, Whole Foods and less sugar. All right, well, we're getting somewhere. But Whole Foods, I can almost guarantee you Whole Foods is just a buzzword that has no real meaning to you. And I'm not trying to be a dick here, by the way. Please understand this. I'm trying to point out why you're not getting the results you want. Because Whole Foods, well, what's that mean? Because I've gone through this too. I speak from experience. I gotta eat Whole Foods. I gotta eat cleaner. What does that mean? And so there's a difference between how I thought about it 20 years ago and the reality I live now. So, and by the way, you're not going to just, tomorrow, now I just eat more Whole Foods and I eat less sugar. It's too vague. You're working against your subconscious programming you have. And so you need to give yourself more time. You need to educate yourself. You need to practice eating Whole Foods. You need to practice eating less sugar. I know that sounds weird because everyone thinks it's just a matter of willpower and decision. It's not. It's a matter of practicing. It's a matter of learning, evolving, growing, thinking in a more detailed way, developing a different mindset. So what I would suggest anyways, if you are serious, go click the link in my bio. Go watch the video I made though. Tab says, ice cream, I can't do moderation most of the time, so I go for the healthiest that I can and have more of. But okay, Tabitha, that statement is very, and I get a lot of information on that statement. Ice cream, I can't do moderation most of the time. Now I look at that and I say, that means some of the time you can do moderation? When those times when you can moderate the ice cream, what's going on? So it turns out it's not the ice cream that's the problem. Back to my main point with, is ice cream the problem so I can never eat ice cream again? Because now you just told me, well, sometimes I can eat ice cream and I can moderate it. Okay, what's going on during those times? At what times are you able to moderate the ice cream? I'm going to guess. I'm just going to, is it the times when you're more relaxed, calm, and grounded with your goals and feeling good, rested, calmer? And the times you can't moderate it, oh, you're stressed, you're depressed, you're angry, you're upset, you're starving. Am I close? So again, a lot of times it's not the ice cream that's the problem here because you're able to moderate. So now if you had an addiction, you'd overeat ice cream every single time. I can't moderate. I've never once been able to moderate it. Once I eat it, blah, 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 I eat all of it. But you told me I can do moderate it sometimes. So if you can moderate sometimes, that to me implies that you can moderate it a whole lot more if you understood how you were moderating it and you understood what you were doing that you don't understand right now. Yeah, sometimes I can. Yes. Yeah. But it's nice to think that, right? Because it's empowering. This is what I'm trying to say. I think the food addiction thing, and again, I'm not saying, I know sometimes that's the truth, but it's almost never. And I think it's very disempowering for someone to feel like the food is more powerful than them. In the times that it is, okay, it is. But most of the time, it's that people don't realize what what they're bringing to the table to overeat it. And they can influence a lot of that. I believe, Tabitha, you could have a lot more control over ice cream. That's what I think. Am I wrong? Am I right? I don't know. But I believe you could have a lot more control over it if you got more strategic with how you ate it. That's what I think. So, Rue says, how do you feel about diet soda? It really keeps me satisfied and stops me from binge eating, but I know it's not good for me. Again, I mean, I think everything on a spectrum. You know, I try to stay out of the good or bad thing. You know, so I'm not going to say this, oh, this is bad. I don't think it's good for you, right? But is it better? Is it better than regular soda? I don't know that either. Diet soda for most people in studies is correlated with weight gain. And we could go into the reasons why that is. But if your situation is that when you drink diet soda, you lose weight and now you're at your goal weight, then what am I going to say? Who gives a shit about that study? You know? So again, in my world, I don't drink diet soda. But you know, you could look at me and you say, someone who doesn't drink alcohol, say, Jim, alcohol is really bad for you. It's deadly. It's killing you. And I'd say, well, thank you for the information. And I'm still drinking it. Now I moderate it to a level I'm comfortable with. But you know, people say that to me. I don't like hearing that. I don't want to hear it. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you diet soda, you know, is going to kill you. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's helpful. You know, so I would seek to moderate it, you know, as much as you can. I don't know if it's as helpful to managing your weight as you may think it is, but maybe it is. So again, what I would say is if in your situation, you started drinking diet soda and now you're down to your goal weight, keep drinking diet soda. I don't think it's the greatest thing, but if it's working, you're better off losing the weight and being at your goal weight now than you were being overweight. And again, I'd probably moderate it down. I'd cut it out when I didn't need it and replace it with water or something else. Eat more fruits, vegetables, and you should be fine. Tabitha says, there's just days when I'm on my days I want to eat the whole pint. Not one scoop, the whole pint. Yeah, but Tabitha, again, to me, that is a symptom of a deeper problem. And it's not the ice cream. The ice cream really is just a symptom of a deeper problem. The deeper problem is that some days you're getting so emotional or what? So upset, so sad. I don't know what the emotion is that makes you want to eat the entire pint. But I'd want to know what that emotion is, and I'd want to go to work on fixing it. It's not the fucking ice cream. Because some days when you're feeling good, you can have a scoop of ice cream and you move on to the next thing. Great. That's nice, right? That's ideal. And then other times you want to eat the whole pint. But I'm more concerned about what's the state you're in that makes you feel like you want to eat the whole pint. And I'd want to resolve that. So let me know, what emotion do you get in that makes you want to eat the whole pint? That's the bigger story to me when I hear that. Yeah, great. When I said you nailed Tabitha with the ice cream thoughts. Yes, I did. That's what I do. I was thinking this yesterday. It's like my greatest skill is coaching. I think I'm a good hypnotist. I guess if I'm teaching, is this teaching? I think I'm okay at this, but my greatest skill is coaching by a million miles. You know, so when I can work, and again, this is a slow-mo version of it. When I can actually speak with a person and I can see them and I can hear them, I very quickly can pinpoint the problem and resolve it. And the good news for you all is that usually what you think of the problem is not the problem. So as soon as we figure out what the real problem is, you know, it's usually a lot easier to fix than you think it's going to be. But yeah. Neely says it's a drug. What's a drug? The ice cream, the diet soda? It's a drug. That you know, by the way, like if you are referring to the diet soda, that's what I mean. Each their own, but I never like that. Like personally, like someone could be like, and I've had people say this, like about the alcohol, that are totally anti-alcohol. And it's like, I respect their opinion and I'm happy for them. But it's like, clearly I've thought about it somewhat and I've made my decision. And so someone telling me, oh, it's deadly, it's going to kill you, I don't want to hear it. It just puts my defenses up anyways. You know, so that's why I say if someone comes at me, oh, sugar, diet sodas or whatever it may be, again, I think of things on a spectrum. You know, obviously water is better than diet soda. But so what? I mean, we all know what's better. Doesn't mean we're going to do it. And so again, I like to meet people where they're at. And so I don't know what Neil is referring to as a drug, but it is not that helpful. Tabitha says, when I'm on my period, that's when it happens. Then on my other phases, I can moderate sweets. Okay, Tabitha. So now again, when we get more specific about what the challenge is, we can be more specific with what the solution is. And so the solution becomes, I can have ice cream in the house when I'm not on my period because I'm able to control it and eat it moderately. But then when I'm on my period, I'm not going to have ice cream around because I don't want to eat a pint of ice cream when I'm on my period. It doesn't help and it makes me feel like shit. I feel worse eating the ice cream. It feels good when I'm eating it for that 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And then I feel like shit afterwards. I'm frustrated and annoyed with myself. So, again, I would start strategically saying, I can have ice cream these weeks. And this week here, I don't want to have it around. I'm going to rely on bananas, apples, banana ice cream, or, I'll come up with alternatives that are healthier. I hope that makes sense. Don says he's not wrong. He's an amazing coach. Thank you. I really am. Again, I'm not sitting here to, toot my own horn, but, it's, That says I'm more sensitive, hormone crazy. Yeah, exactly. I totally get it, Tabitha, right? I totally get that. And that's so much of the program is really just recognizing, understanding yourself, understanding your patterns. And I think for women, women that are still having their periods, I think that's something you really ought to take into account because you're a different version of yourself that week or before. You're a different version of yourself throughout the month because of that. And I think you should recognize that and strategize for that. You're not the same person. That's literally the conversation I had this morning. This person thinking like, well, no matter what the situation is, I should be able to make the right decision. And I think that's the dumbest mindset. Like on a technical sense, it's kind of true, but in the real world, it's not true at all. I got you, Neil. Yeah. The food's like a drug. Yeah. Comforts me like a drug, but it's harmful. And I mean, overeating. Yeah. And I get that. Yeah, but I think it's better. I prefer to describe that the food can act like a drug and it's set up that way. Cause I just think most of the time, hard substances, they are more addictive typically. They're different types of addiction, but I mean, they're just more overwhelming to the system, than food. And I have found that people most often can moderate the food way more than they could ever be able to moderate substances. Again, Neely, for you, even it's not the food, like you said, I would say, again, if you want to use the drug example, that's fine. But I don't think it's valuable here is what I would say. For you, what you're saying to me is the overeating. So again, it's not the food, it's the behavior with the food. And I would get crystal clear on that it's the overeating of the food. And then I would start to notice, when am I overeating? And when you say it comforts me, I'm going to assume it's when you're in a shit mood. Sad, depressed, lonely, stressed, whatever, that's when the overeating may show up. And so again, I'd want to know that because then I'd want to say, what are some other ways I can deal with the stress, the sadness, whatever the emotion that triggers the overeating is. So, says, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Again, if you're not in my world, go click the link in my bio, go get the hypnosis session, watch the video, read the emails. And here every day, Monday through Friday. What's up, Joy? Here every day, Monday through Friday around noon. And the podcast is Program Yourself Then. If you want to see it, it's on all the podcast platforms. All right, everyone. Have a super day. We'll talk soon. Bye.